this video, we're going to be discussing Hermione, the Sorting Hat, and the Hogwarts housing system.
I look forward to
More
this video
specifically,
already.
we will be answering the question, why wasn't Hermione in Ravenclaw?
And she is a
As we
perfect fit
know,
for
there are
Ravenclaw.
4 Hogwarts houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin.
Hufflepuff gang.
Each house has defining characteristics, and at the beginning of a student's
Slytherin
journey
are
at
the
Hogwarts,
backstabbers?
they are assigned to one of these
that's
4
somewhat
houses based on how well the student's own character traits mesh
She is a Ravenclaw.
with the principles
But
of the
sometimes
house.
personalities,
The
she's a Gryffindor
assignee
as well.
of the Hogwarts houses is the fabled Sorting Hat, a filthy, old,
Hey,
frayed,
that's-
dirty hat
Hey, that's so
that
rude.
once belonged to Hogwarts founder
That's so
Godric
unappreciative.
Gryffindor. The hat is
Poor
extremely
sorting
outspoken
hat.
and is praised
Nothing
by
wrong with
professors
being
and students
outspoken.
alike for its uncanny ability to assign houses to Hogwarts students.
Sorting Hat does
The
a great
hat is a
job.
sentient being that
Unappreciated.
originally belonged to Godric Gryffindor and was bewitched by all 4 founders:
All
Godric
4.
Gryffindor,
Oh, wow, I didn't
Helga
know that.
Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and
And
Salazar
the
Slytherin.
troublemaker.
Before the hat's existence, the founders would manually sort students into
How would
houses.
they decide who houses?
However, after some time, they realized that the selection process would outlive them,
That's
so they created
obvious.
the hat to continue tradition. The founders of Hogwarts recognized that they each valued very different virtues which ended up leading to the defining attributes of each house.
Yeah, that's how
It
the
was
houses
important
get
to them
sorted.
that the
members
houses
get
they
sorted
founded
into them.
would continue to follow by the beliefs from which
But
they were
sometimes
based.
students have
These
have
virtues or
from both
inherent
houses.
characteristics
Multiple houses.
can be summed up in the Sorting Hat's own words. 1,000 years or more ago, when I was newly
Oh, when he
sown,
was fresh as a daisy.
there lived 4 wizards of renown, whose names are still well known.
Beautiful poem.
Bold Gryffindor from Wildmoor, fair Ravenclaw
This
from
is a
Glen,
beautiful poem.
sweet Hufflepuff from Valley Broad, shrewd Slytherin from Fen. They shared a wish, a hope, a dream.
I don't
They
think they all
hatched a
shared the
daring
wish.
plan to educate young sorcerers.
Not all of them.
Thus Hogwarts School began. Now each of these 4 founders formed their own house, for each did value different virtues in the ones they had to teach. By Gryffindor, the bravest were prized far beyond the rest.
Gryffindor is
For
brave.
Ravenclaw, the
Ravenclaw is the
cleverest
intellectual.
would always be the best.
Hufflepuff are
For
the
Hufflepuff,
grinders,
hard workers
hard
were
workers.
most worthy of admission,
Hufflepuff.
and power-hungry Slytherin loved those of great ambition. While
Nothing
still
wrong with
alive, they
ambition.
did divide
But a
their
lot of
favourites
ambition
from
is
the
scary.
throng. Yet how to pick the worthy ones when they were dead and gone? 'Twas Gryffindor who found the way, he whipped me off his head. The founders put some brains in me, so I could choose instead. Now slip me snug about your ears, I've never yet been wrong. I'll have a look inside your mind and tell where you belong. The hat
love that.
uses legilimency, the art of magically navigating
That's kinda
through a
scary
person's
as well.
mind to assess the student's traits. After placing the hat on your head, it will begin to analyze your mind and place you in a house based on how
Gryffindor!
closely you resemble one of the 4 founders. If the hat senses great
In the
bravery,
movie, the
Gryffindor
cat
is a likely
doesn't
choice.
hesitate when
if the
selecting
hat senses great
Hermione.
intelligence, Ravenclaw is a likely choice. If the hat senses that someone is a hard worker, Hufflepuff is a likely
That's where
choice.
I'd be.
And finally, if the hat senses that
Team
someone
black
is
and
hungry
yellow.
for power, then Slytherin is a likely choice.
That's not a great.
But one thing that I've always wondered
advert
is,
for
if
Slytherin?
intelligence is a defining characteristic of Ravenclaw, then why wasn't our very own Hermione Granger in Ravenclaw House? In the
She's
years that she spent at
intelligent and
Hogwarts,
brave.
she was widely considered to be the brightest witch of her age.
And,
Time and time again,
that's
she
facts.
displayed lateral thinking, quickly adjusting to her circumstance or environment and overcoming all sorts of obstacles. Not only that, but she has an inquisitive and practical mind, which allows her to constantly challenge the status quo, frequently introducing new approaches to conventional methods of spell conjuring or potion making. She just exudes intelligence on so many levels. So again, why Ravenclaw? When Hermione
Why
first
not
placed the hat
Ravenclaw, you
on her
meant to
head
say?
in the Philosopher's Stone, it wasn't an easy decision for the hat,
Wasn't it?
and took quite some time to decide.
In the books.
Funnily enough, Hermione is actually asked why she isn't in Ravenclaw in the Order of the Phoenix.
Oh.
The exchange is as follows. "How come you're not in Ravenclaw?" he, Terry Boot, demanded, staring at Hermione with something close to wonder. "With brains like yours."
No, that's how you get
"Well,
a girl's
the Sorting
attention.
Hat did seriously consider putting me in Ravenclaw during my sorting," said Hermione brightly, "but it decided on Gryffindor in the end. Very rarely, every 50 years or so, to be exact, a hat stall will occur during the Sorting Hat ceremony. This is when the sorting hat needs additional time to come up with a decision.
He had the same with Harry.
Usually it is considered a hat stall
Difficult.
when the decision takes 5
Very
minutes or longer.
difficult.
This usually occurs when a student has a personality that could be considered equally suitable for each of the Hogwarts houses. McGonagall faced a similar situation to Hermione in her earlier years,
Of course,
and the
McGonagall
hat
as
deliberated for 5.5 minutes on
That's
whether
not a
she should be
surprise.
placed in Ravenclaw or Gryffindor, the same houses that it considered for Hermione. I think that this tells us that McGonagall and Hermione are very similar people.
Yeah, it's not a surprise.
While Hermione
It's
did
not a
not
shock at
quite
all.
reach the hat stall mark, she was close
She
at a time of 4
didn't.
minutes.
Aw.
This tells us that her levels of bravery and intelligence are probably quite comparable.
Like this.
It's also worth noting that in the case of a hat stall, the hat may take the student's personal preference into consideration
Yeah.
for its decision.
Like what
In the
hat did
Philosopher's
with
Stone,
Harry.
on the Hogwarts Express, she shows a clear preference for Gryffindor over Ravenclaw. I've been asking around, and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was one, but I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be
Gryffindor
too
is
bad.
the most
As the hat was struggling to place
commercialized.
Hermione, it's more than likely that it used her preference as one of the deciding factors. We know the defining character trait of Gryffindor to be bravery, something that is exhibited by the trio time and time again throughout the series. But is Hermione really braver than she is intelligent? She'd have to be pretty brave. And does she really value bravery over intelligence? While it may seem like Hermione values intelligence above all, an exchange between Harry and Hermione in the Philosopher's Stone reveals where Hermione's priorities really lie. "I'm not as good as you," said Harry, very embarrassed as she let go
No
of
one
him.
is as good as her.
"Me?" said Hermione. "Books and cleverness? There are more important things. Friendship and bravery. And, oh Harry, be
Aw.
careful." If it was ever ambiguous, I think that this exchange definitively determines which values Hermione holds closest.
But that's 'cause she
This line,
undervalued
by
her
itself,
intelligence,
shows
which
that
is
she
not good as
values
well.
the traits of Gryffindor, courage and bravery, in a higher regard than the traits of Ravenclaw, intelligence and knowledge. And she doesn't just value these traits, she exhibits them time and time again throughout the Harry Potter
If
series.
she didn't, she wouldn't
Her
be with the
courageousness
trio.
and strength truly shine through in a
wouldn't
number of
be-
situations that she's been
Bravery is
in and
also
decisions she's made.
very much attached to
These
crazy.
situations
You need to be
include,
brave to
but are not
frickin'
limited
hunt
to,
down Voldemort.
putting herself in harm's way and saving Ron
Oh,
from the Devil's
yeah.
Snare in the
Gosh, that
Philosopher's
was a-
Stone,
that was a
stepping in
scene.
front of a then unknown
Yes,
Sirius Black
oh
in the
my
Shrieking
gosh,
Shack,
yes.
under the impression that he was there to kill Harry, accompanying Harry to the Department of
Of
Mysteries,
course.
despite strongly opposing the idea, staying
What
with
the
Harry
attacking the
even though
Death
she loved
Eaters.
Ron, when the trio disbanded in the Deathly Hallows
She
on
should
their
have
hunt
been
for
with
Horcruxes,
Harry.
and most notably when she
When
had to
she-
erase herself
oh.
from her own parents'
I
memories,
forgot about
a
this.
task
Oh, I forgot about this. She erased her parents' memories, making her not exist in their minds. My gosh, she went through a lot. Oh, poor Hermione.
that would require all of the courage in the world. Now, it
Most
has been
people would be
speculated that
broken
the
after
hat has a
that.
tendency to place students in houses based on the qualities they value, and not necessarily the qualities that they actively personify.
I don't think so.
Additionally, the hat can detect nascent qualities in a student,
What's nascent?
and generally places them in the house that will challenge them the most,
Oh,
putting their character to the test.
let them grow.
A good example
That's
of
good.
this is Neville Longbottom. I think that Hermione is an equally good example of this, as when she started at Hogwarts, she was actively exhibiting
was
the
a
behavior
goody
of a
two-shoes.
stereotypical know-it-all.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on this alone, one would assume that the hat would choose Ravenclaw, but it detected that deep down, Hermione's inherent characteristics more closely
That's
meshed
good
with
as
Gryffindor.
well. The hat
It
helps you
knew
grow.
to place her in the house
As a
that would
friggin'
bring
counselor
these
job at
qualities
Hogwarts.
out. As she was already very studious and intelligent, it made more sense that she would be placed in Gryffindor, as she would have a lot more opportunity for personal development. Gryffindor had a lot more to offer her. One thing that's for sure, the hat insists that it has never made a mistake, and always backs its original decision, regardless of whether or not
That's a
the
very
student
hard-headed
acts
hat.
in accordance with the values of the house. In Hermione's case, I think that its decision to place her in Gryffindor was the best decision that it could have made.
Good job, hat. You
And that's
deserve
it
a
for this
medal.
video.